that's the great thing about allowing students to pursue those personal passion projects or what their interests and goals are, is that's the stuff they're interested in, right? So that's what brings them in, and they don't know, hey, I'm learning digital marketing, through Etsy, or I'm learning video editing while I'm also playing video games. They don't realize that, but that's where the magic happens.
Technology is transforming how we think, how we lead, and how we win. From Intervision, this is Status Go, the show helping IT leaders move beyond the status quo, master their craft, and propel their IT vision.
It's been said that every company is a digital company. UPS, the package delivery giant, says we are a data company. Ford says they are a data company. Even the family farm is going high tech as investments in technology are driving better yields. We are in the digital era. New jobs are being created. Old jobs are being replaced by automation, or at the very least, augmented by automation. The release of ChatGPT just a few short months ago revealed an entirely new skill set: prompt writing. How do you interact with an AI bot? A few episodes here on Status Go, we talked about Sophia, SFIA, the skills framework for the information age. Today, we're going to talk with Andrew Rosner, the director of digital fluency at Franklin College. Franklin is a liberal arts college. You may be surprised to hear that the college is located in central Indiana, not Silicon Valley or New York or Austin. Digital fluency, a skill for every employee, entrepreneur, and frankly, citizen. So, Andrew, welcome to Status Go.
Thanks for having me, Jeff. Glad to be here and talk about Franklin College and the Digital Fluency Initiative.
I'm really excited by this because when I first learned about the program there at Franklin College, I thought, wow, this is really leading edge. It fills this gap that we have, and I think sometimes we make the assumption that because our kids are growing up with these cell phones in their hands, these smartphones, that they know all about technology, and they really don't. Before we dive into this concept of digital fluency, would you mind sharing a little bit about your background, your career journey? What brought you to this spot today?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I don't have I guess, a traditional path, as one would think, to get into tech, and sometimes I even have a hard time of considering myself as somebody who works in tech. So, I went to a small private liberal arts college, very similar to Franklin College. Went to DePaul University, and I actually studied sports medicine there. I thought I was going to be an athletic trainer, right?
Yeah.
For a long time. Knew I wanted to stay in sports, but got to be about the end of the journey there at DePaul, and it's like, yeah, I don't know if I want to be an athletic trainer anymore. So ended up going to grad school at IU, specifically for sports marketing and management. Again, with the idea of I wanted to work in sports.
Yeah.
After that, luckily, while I was getting my master's degree, a full-time job opened up in the athletics department. I was also part-time working in the athletics department at that time, and so was able to jump into that full-time role, specifically in the ticket office, selling tickets and ticket operations. Did that for a few years, then moved over to the marketing department within athletics. Really enjoyed that. Did that for 3-4 years. Then the opportunity, and I kind of was ready for that next jump, ready for a leadership role within the department. And we got a great gift from Mark Cuban to create the Mark Cuban Center for Sports Media and Technology.
Uh,
And again, product of timing, was tabbed to lead that department, the Mark Cuban Center, or the Cuban Center, and built that out, developed relationships with campus, and that then reignited my passion for working directly with students. and developing learning opportunities for them. So that was a big part of what we did in the Cuban Center, was working with, the Kelly School of Business, the School of Informatics, um, a number of different schools on campus to develop internships and other learning opportunities for the really cool tech that we were utilizing in the Cuban Center on the athletics department side.
Yeah.
Did that for 4 or 5 years, and then saw this opening here at Franklin College, and it kind of provided the opportunity to kind of get back to my roots, right? Small
Yeah.
private liberal
Yeah.
arts college. Spend more time working directly with students and creating those learning opportunities. And so jumped at the chance when I saw this opportunity pop up, and been here for about 2 years and loving life.
That's excellent. That's quite a journey. So, did you meet Cuban?
No, I did not get to meet Mark Cuban personally. No.
Well, hey, at least you got to implement that program there, which is a nationally recognized program. Well, let's dive into this concept of digital fluency. First of all, can you define it? What is digital fluency?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question, right? What in the world is this thing? And truth be told, when I saw the job posting, I had to look it up. I
Yeah,
certainly had heard of digital. I think everyone knows what digital is, right? And I think everyone understands what fluency is, but I had never seen those two words put
yeah,
together and
yeah,
in such a way. And so definitely had to look that up. And we use the textbook definition quite a bit, and that is, the digital fluency is the ability to leverage technology to create new knowledge, new challenges, new problems, and to complement those with critical thinking, complex problem solving, and social intelligence. Now, it's very textbook definition, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
how I like to think of it is, uh, most people have probably heard of digital literacy, right?
yeah. I was gonna ask,
Yeah.
what's the difference there?
Right. So how I think of the difference, I you can think of it in a number of different ways. How I think of it is, I'm going to use the handyman tools example. Right. So I'm at home, and I would consider myself literate on handyman tools. So I know what a drill is. Right. I know that
Yeah,
tool. I know how to use it. I know lefty loosey, righty tighty for screwdrivers. Right. I
yep,
understand the
yep,
tools. I can maybe put together an IKEA table, right? Following
right.
directions, that maybe, right? So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
am I
yeah.
am literate in that sense. Fluency, how I think about it in that example, is the ability, the skills, the understanding of the tools to build a table from scratch. Take the
Mhm.
raw materials, understand when and where, have the wisdom, right, to be able to create something from scratch, create new things. And so that's what we're trying to do with the Digital Fluency Initiative, is help develop that tool belt, right, or that
Mhm.
toolkit for our students so that they can go out there and create new things, innovation, be innovators, and leaders in today's modern economy.
Yeah, yeah. So um, maybe not becoming uh, a tradesperson in using your tools, an expert in using the tools, but being able to use them at a higher skill level than I would put myself in the same category you just put yourself in. I know what a screwdriver is, but don't ask me to build a piece of furniture, right?
Right,
Unless it
exactly.
is IKEA.
Yeah.
That I can do. So why is this concept of digital fluency so important today?
Sure. Well, and I think, to take a step back, right, and I'll address why it's important. But first, I think also what makes us a little bit different with what we're doing with the Digital Fluency Initiative, is it's a campus-wide initiative, right? So we are focused just as much on English, philosophy, exercise science students, right, as an example, as we are on our coding, our IT, our computer science and data science students. It's equal, right? It's across the
Mhm.
board. So we want to make sure that we are providing the same tools for all of our students, regardless of major. Why that's important is we know that the skill set to succeed in today's economy has changed and is constantly changing. I don't know if
Yeah,
it'll
yeah,
ever
yeah,
stay
yeah,
the same,
yeah,
right? And so we need to really, it's incumbent on us to better prepare our students. The number one reason why students choose to go to college, right, is to get a good job, right?
yeah.
I think it was over 85% of students said that was the number one reason why they went to school. On the flip side, 10%, and I'm not sure if I necessarily agree with this number, but one that I came across recently, an article I came across recently said that 10% of business leaders say colleges effectively prepare students for the modern
Ah,
economy. And so
yeah, yeah,
if students are going to college in order to get a good job, yet the people who are hiring them are saying college isn't doing a great job, we need to rethink how we're preparing students and the skills and the tools that we're providing them.
yeah, yeah. Well, and I know I saw you speak recently, and I think the other stat that really jumped out at me was that, and I may get this wrong, so feel free to correct me. By 2030, the available jobs, 85% of them don't even exist today.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's the stat, and it's been widely publicized there. You know, by 2030, 85% of the jobs haven't even been created yet. So how do we
Yeah.
prepare students for jobs that we don't even know what they are? Right? We don't
Right.
have those job descriptions.
Right.
Uh,
You have to prepare them how to use the tools,
yep.
uh, and I think also instill that continuous learning, the ability to be curious and learn and understand. So I think what I heard you say in that, Andrew, is that you're not suggesting that every student that goes to Franklin College has to enroll in computer science,
Right.
right? You're spreading this program out to all the disciplines and all the tools. So can you talk a little bit about how you're doing that? And I know the program is in its infancy, but how are you doing it today? And where's your vision for where this is going?
Right. So we're definitely taking a scaffolded or a tiered approach to what we're trying to do in the classroom specifically. Um, and you start big picture wise, developing brand new majors, right? That
Hmm.
we've done that. Created our data science major, which started in the fall. um, really excited about that program. One thing that is unique, I think, to what we're able to do is we're able to put a unique liberal arts spin on a data science major, right? So a
Hmm.
lot of our focus then is talking about data bias and equity, right? And
Oh, yeah.
how that plays a part in today's economy and in businesses. I think you mentioned what Ford said they're a data company, right? You
Yeah.
would never think
Yeah.
about that,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
But what and you mentioned AI in the intro as well, in machine learning. Okay, tons of equity issues and bias issues, right, in that. And so we're able to put that, I think, unique liberal arts spin on, maybe a more traditional tech major,
Yeah.
right? So that's
Yeah.
one way, right? Big picture, developing new majors. Maybe a step below that would be something that we're calling our digital fluency endorsement, and that is similar to like a credential, or it's just under what would be a minor.
Hmm.
It's a set of classes. I think the list is now up to 20 classes, and then some co-curricular experiences as well, that students would, if they earn those or they take those classes over their 4 years, they would earn this digital fluency endorsement. And again, what we've done with that mix of classes is we spread it across campus and then made the requirement that 2 out of the 4 required classes have to be outside of your major. Right. So
Okay.
that's encouraging, say, a philosophy major to go take CMP 130, our intro to computing class. Or if you are a coder, right, you are one of our data science majors or computer science majors, can you go take a nonprofit digital leadership course? Or can you go take a graphic design course and really set yourself up for something like a UX UI design
Right. Right.
career, right? And then there's all the co-curricular as well. And what we've really, I think, where the road rubber meets the road on this and digital fluency endorsement, is it's been vetted by industry. So we've gone to TechPoint, they're valued partners in what we're doing. We've said, hey, here's our program. Are these the skills that employers are looking for? And
Yeah,
so we
yeah,
have that seal of approval from TechPoint, which I think is going to be really, really valuable for our students, something that they can put on a resume and go talk about in an interview. Then
yeah,
we're also, so that if that's kind of the middle level, the bottom level there then would just be reimagining and rethinking some of our classroom projects and in-class exercises. So
hmm,
how do we put a digital spin on a traditional in-class project? And you think about
yeah,
one of the easiest or best examples is a traditional paper that you would write,
yeah.
or an essay. Well, can we make that a multimedia project, or could we create a podcast, right?
Oh, yeah,
Where
yeah,
they're learning audio editing, they're learning new hardware and technology on top of the content knowledge, right, of that
yeah.
class. So it's that layering effect, or scaffolding effect of both your content, but also the digital or the technical skills on top of that.
Yeah. I want to come back to that, but we're going to pause for just a minute here for a message from Intervision Systems. They're the publisher of Status Go.
Unlock the power of more with Intervision Systems. We provide the cutting edge technology and expert guidance you need to take your business to the next level. Don't settle for less. Choose Intervision Systems and discover what's possible. Contact us now to learn more.
And the best way to learn more is to visit intervision.com. So, Andrew, I want to get back to our conversation here. And I love what you were pointing out there just before the break, that you're looking at your traditional classes and saying, how can we add technology to that? And for our listeners who may not be able to see us here on video, Andrew is sitting at a very tricked out podcast studio on campus. And so, even things like using those tools, as you mentioned, is important. Are you taking this concept of digital fluency also into some of the extracurriculars that are available for students?
Absolutely. And, you mentioned the podcast studio. That's a part of one component of our Center for Tech Innovation that I oversee as part of the Digital Fluency Initiative. We like to think of it as the hub of the Digital Fluency Initiative. Is where our podcast studio is. But I think another thing that makes us unique, and I don't want to make this sound like a sales pitch for Franklin College, but I think one thing that does make us unique is all the resources that we have here within the Center for Tech Innovation, including the podcast studio, 3D printers, VR headsets, photo and video equipment, et cetera. They're obviously available for class projects, but one thing that makes us a little bit different is that we also make all of this equipment and resources and technology available for co-curricular or extracurricular, personal passion projects for our students. So, for example, if a student wanted to come in and use this podcast studio to, create voiceovers for a video game,
Hmm.
that video that they're posting on YouTube, which is a thing. Apparently,
Yes.
I didn't know that was a thing. They're certainly more than welcome to come and do that if they wanted to utilize our 3D printers and create a little Etsy shop of things that they're printing. Uh,
Hmm.
they certainly can, and had a student do that, right? And that's the great thing about allowing students to pursue those personal passion projects, or what their interests and goals are, is that's the stuff they're interested in, right? So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what
yeah.
brings them in, and they're maybe not, they don't know, hey, I'm learning digital marketing, through Etsy or e-commerce, or I'm learning video editing while I'm
Right.
also playing video games, right?
Yeah.
They don't realize that, and but that's where the magic happens is when you're
Yeah.
able to learn those things and stuff that you're interested in.
I've said for years that if you want to see where technology is going, watch a gamer,
Yeah.
right? The technology that games are built on today. Um, when you look back to when I was a kid and some of the game technology, we now use that every day.
Hmm.
And so you look at augmented reality, virtual reality. It's video games,
Yeah.
right? And you're right. People do post themselves playing video games on YouTube. My grandson is a huge fan of watching some of the games on YouTube, so I know that that is a thing. So as you're sitting here today, where is this program going? What's your vision for what this looks like 2 years from now, 3 years from now?
Yeah, so I think we've made a lot of progress across campus here internally, getting a lot of faculty buy-in, which has been really key to our early success. But the vision for our program is to empower Franklin College and students to be on the right side of innovation. So I think you mentioned AI earlier, and maybe that the effect on jobs there. We want to make
Hmm.
sure that the digital fluency initiative is the reason why people are getting jobs
Yeah,
and keeping jobs, right? So it's AI is not going to replace you, but somebody utilizing AI tools might, right?
right.
And so we
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
make sure that our students are well prepared, right, from a tools and skills perspective, that they are going to be on the right side of innovation.
yeah,
And
yeah,
similarly, we want to do the same thing for Franklin College. We want to make sure that Franklin College is set up for success in the long term with this innovative learning experience that we're providing for our students.
yeah. It's interesting, and we talked a little bit about this in my intro, that this explosion of Chat GPT, just as an example, and the rise in the need to teach people and train people how to interact with it, because writing the prompts for that is a skill set. So you all are in education. There's been a little bit of an uproar about Chat GPT in the education space. Use it in the classroom or no way? Where's kind of the stance?
Yeah, I can't speak for everyone here on campus, but I teach a digital marketing Salesforce fundamentals course. Um, And absolutely, we're utilizing it, right? It's important, and I've had a number of guest speakers come in and talk about how they're using it in their daily workflows. So to me, it's important as we're preparing our students to enter the workforce that they are have a good, strong understanding of how those tools are being used. And so,
Yeah.
the most specific way, earlier in the semester, we did SEO, search engine optimization, in class exercise, where
Hmm.
I had students develop a set of keywords for their target market,
Yep.
for their brand or their company that they were assigned. Then we took that keywords and we went and used ChatGPT to help us develop a further extended keyword list, but then also how are we creating content based on
Yeah.
that, blog posts based on those keywords to help us target the right customer. Tomorrow we're going to do an email marketing in class exercise where we'll utilize some AI tools um, to write better subject lines. Right, that
Yeah.
you got to
Yeah.
write a good subject line. That's how you get people to open up emails,
That's
right?
right. That's how you get people to
Um,
click.
yep.
Yep.
So we're
Yep.
going to look at how to do how to utilize those tools in real world industry
Yeah.
examples, right? We
That's
also
excellent.
outside the classroom, you mentioned extracurriculars, co-curriculars. Last week, I led an AI tools workshop and again was not really focused a lot on chat gpt. I think most of their students know how to use that or have experience with that, but rather we focused on tools like beautiful.ai,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Hyperwrite.ai, and then Clean Voice, that tool as well, with the idea that these are tools that are going to help in your production of quality content for class. Right.
Yeah.
So this is
Yeah.
not these are, it's not a tool to help you write an essay, or get you out of writing an essay. Right. But how can you better, more effectively or efficiently create, um, uh, class materials,
Yeah.
and take what used to be maybe 2-3 hours, right, of creating a PowerPoint deck. Instead, can you spend 5 minutes creating a PowerPoint deck by utilizing beautiful.ai?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then what do you do with that saved time? How are you better, or how are you able
Yes.
to better your presentation? Hone your message, craft your message, do more research, fact check, um, uh, to make it even better, right?
Even
Uh,
better. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I know I was not aware of beautiful.ai until I saw your presentation in which you had used that for your deck. And to our listeners, if you've not checked that out, you should. The decks are spectacular coming out the other end. Now, I want to get into the more depth of the program itself, and you all have developed this there at Franklin around a set of you call them core digital competencies, and I think as I'm recalling your presentation, there are 5 core digital competencies. Do I have that right?
yes.
What are the 5, Andrew?
Yeah. So to list them off, we have our essential digital skills, digital communication, data management and preservation, data analysis and presentation, and then critical design, making, and development.
And so as you're developing the programs, part of what you're doing is keeping those competencies in mind, and how do you leverage them within the whatever the framework or the coursework that you're building, right?
Absolutely. So we want to make sure that these skills are interconnected, interdisciplinary, and embedded in the curriculum is our
Yeah.
ultimate goal with these skills.
Yeah. Could you, for our listeners, could you just repeat those again? And for our listeners, we'll provide a link to this as well in our show notes. But just for our listeners, what are the 5 again, Andrew?
Yep, essential digital skills, which would be, network, file management, troubleshooting, strategic web, database searching, those types of essential digital skills.
Yep.
Digital communication, so collaborative communication, writing and publishing, audio visual production, right? Data management and preservation to be collection, privacy, security, organizing and managing, data,
Yep.
data analysis and presentation, again, essentially data visualization, right? How do we
Yep.
tell story with our data? And then critical design, making, and development, algorithmic thinking, coding, project management, design thinking, those types of skills would fall into that category.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Well, and I know we haven't even you mentioned bias and making sure that we uh, are eliminating as much bias as we can out of the tools. We haven't even touched on ethical use of technology.
Mhm.
As you were talking about creating the subject line and having people click, you could take that to the extreme. But we'll save that conversation for the next time you're on Status Go, Andrew. I want to talk a little bit about the corporate partnerships, because a lot of our listeners are in corporate America. They're in corporate IT, or they are in a tech company itself. So, talk about the corporate partnerships that you have and that you're looking for in this program.
Yeah, so employer partnerships, key to our digital fluency initiative. Um, and there's a wide range of ways that we can work together. One is through our digital internship stipend, and so that's a relatively new a program that we just stood up. That well, I guess to give you a little bit of a background on that. So we were hearing a very common theme in talking to both employer partners, but also to students, and that was essentially, um, you know employer partners, especially nonprofits and startups, are saying, "Hey, we'd love to take on interns, right, from Franklin College, but we just don't have the funds to pay them." And so they'd often be,
Mhm.
non-paid internships. And then on the flip side, students were saying, "Hey, I'd love to go take, a cool internship at a cool startup, right, tech startup, but it's unpaid, and I need to make some money over the summer."
Mhm.
So they would oftentimes forego, right, the tech startup non-paid internship or nonprofit opportunity, and go work, at the local mom and pop store in their hometown over
Yeah.
the summer. So we stepped in with some of our grant money and developed this digital internship stipend to, again, encourage our students to go take those often unpaid or very low paid internship opportunities, but that are so valuable to their experience. It's where they get to apply what they're learning right in the classroom into a
Mhm.
real world example, and make those vital networking connections as they're looking to apply for jobs. So that what that does is we will pay Franklin College will pay $10 an hour on top of whatever the host organization is paying. So if they're not paying anything, then at least the student is getting $10 an hour.
Yeah.
If they're
Yeah.
paying, $10 an hour, then now the student's making 20. Again, really trying to encourage those students to
Right.
not pass up those awesome opportunities
Yeah.
that are out there. So if anybody listening is looking for interns, but maybe don't have the funds to take on interns, that's where the digital internship stipend can come into play. Then we're always looking for ways that we can partner and marry academia and industry together.
Yeah.
One great example there is the digital marketing Salesforce class that I mentioned a little bit ago. That's co-taught. So I teach that with Lee Hamer from Lumivate. She's the VP of Customer Success at Lumivate, which is a indie digital experiences platform company.
Yeah.
And that's been awesome, right? We're students are now able to stay way up, more up to date on industry than if I were just teaching that all by myself, right?
Right.
And,
Right.
and not only that, but then students now have access to the Lumivate platform and can create these digital experiences, in addition to then learning from an expert like Lee, right,
Yeah.
from industry.
That's excellent. And for our listeners, you may recall that we interviewed Stephanie Cox of Lumivate
Yep.
on this program about her passion for escape rooms,
Yeah.
which was an interesting conversation. Well, Andrew, we are out of time, but before I let you go, I want to make sure that we leave our listeners with a call to action,
Mhm.
right? We love action here on Status Go. It's kind of in our name. So, what are one or two things that our listeners should go do tomorrow because they listened to our conversation today?
Yeah, I think that to me, what's really valuable, you mentioned it at the outset, was that Sophia, right? It's that skills assessment.
Yeah.
To me, it's go take that skills assessment because that's what is at the core of what we're doing with the Digital Fluency Initiative, is making sure our students have the skills that they need to succeed. And so you can't really do that unless you know what skills you currently have.
Right.
You mentioned it too at the beginning, the importance of learning to learn. Technology is always changing, so that's another key component of what we're trying to do, is to teach our students how to learn, so that they will always be prepared for whatever changes come up in the future.
Excellent. I think those are a couple of great actions, and to our listeners, we'll be sure and have links in the show notes to Franklin College's website where they talk about this, and if possible, I don't know if this is possible, but a link to the beautiful .ai deck that you shared.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, I can share that.
We can provide a link to that as well. That would be great. Andrew, thank you so much for being on Status Go today. I really appreciate it. I'd love to have you back in the future and talk maybe about how you're handling the ethics conversation, especially around AI. I think that would be fascinating. But thank you for carving out time today. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeff. Really appreciate you having me on.
To our listeners, if you want to learn more, be sure and visit intervision.com. If you want to go directly to the Status Go podcast, that's intervision.com/status-go. You can also join our brand new LinkedIn group, Status Go, to continue the conversation. We hope to create dialogue around some of our episodes there, so check that out as well. This is Jeff Tunn for Andrew Rosner. Thank you very much for listening.
You've been listening to the Status Go podcast. You can subscribe on iTunes or get more information at intervision.com. If you'd like to contribute to the conversation, find Intervision on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter. Thank you for listening. Until next time.